One of the most toxic myths for the creatives is that there must be financial struggle as a prerequisite to you making your art or being a valid artist. Not true. Welcome back to the Singer Saved by Sales podcast. My name is Jordan Schreiner. If you are new here, I'm an opera singer, I'm a voice teacher, and I am an entrepreneur. I help people build businesses to take the financial pressure off their singing or their artistic medium, trying to help spread the word that you can build an income stream doing whatever you want, whatever skill sets you have, and that you are still a valid artist. Today, we're diving into a belief that has kept artists stuck, that have kept artists broke, that keeps artists feeling stuck and stagnant in their life and in their artistic careers because this old crap is passed down from generation to generation. And today we are talking about the starving artist mindset. We're going to talk about where it came from, why it's so prevalent, and what we can do today as artists, as creatives, to start breaking out of that sequence so that we can build a career that looks like how we want it to be, not what we think it's supposed to be. So where the heck did all of this come from? If we look back into history, there were plenty of artists who are romanticized for their struggle before they reached the high peak of their artistry. We look at Van Gogh, we look at Schubert, we look at Mozart, right? A lot of them didn't come to fame until the later part of their life or even after they had passed. Then we see academia, higher ed, take this, reinforce it, so that we are trying to encourage artists to give up, to sacrifice, to double, triple down just solely on the art. While that may have worked back in the day and still might work for 1% of artists who are able to skyrocket to the top, for the other 99% of us, we have to figure out how we can sustain. We need to figure out what longevity looks like in 2025 and beyond. Because the career we are building specifically as opera singers in 2025 looks a lot different from our mentors in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. One of my biggest issues with how higher ed is teaching artists is that, yeah, we'll focus on you need to be proficient in 7 languages, but do you know how to send an invoice? Do you know how to price your product? When someone writes to you and asks, will you come sing for this funeral? Will you come sing for this wedding? Will you provide a service? We have no idea how to price ourselves. And when we do, we undervalue because we think that if we're selling our art, that we can't charge too much for it. Where did that come from? Stop believing that. You have to see your value, and it's going to change today with you taking the time to listen to this and implement a couple things of mindset shift and run with it. Okay, you can silently raise your hand if you have ever found yourself saying the following phrases. Well, I'm not in it for the money. Or if I monetize my art, I'm selling out. I'll be taken more seriously if I'm struggling. No, that's gone. Dead and gone. Because let me tell you, no one does their best work when they don't know how they're going to pay their rent. No one sings freely when they don't know if they can pay their grocery bill. No one is going to have high-level collaborations if we are stressed about the $1,000 of credit card debt that we have just to survive. So sure, maybe you didn't get into art, into singing, into whatever medium you are in for the money, but that is the career that you have chosen. So if you want to be a high-level artist, you also need to figure out how to make this a business. And maybe you're listening to this saying, you know, I do want to be an artist, but I don't want to make money off of it. I want it to be a hobby. I want to give back. That, good for you. I am cheering you on. Go freaking run for it. But you need to figure out what else you're going to do to pay the bills and to be able to survive. So just realizing that there is a reality here. We have to figure out how we are going to move forward, how we are going to make this work for us in today's society. One of the main reasons why I wanted to shoot this episode is that this mindset is going to hold back so many artists from achieving what they truly desire. When you believe that suffering equals value, you start to subconsciously sabotage your own financial growth. You are going to undercharge. You're going to overwork yourself, and you're going to start to feel guilt when things go well. So this is going to have real life consequences, and it's a snowball effect. It starts small, it gets bigger until it's completely out of control. Number 1, you're going to say yes to unpaid gigs for the exposure. No. This mindset of the starving artist is going to keep you It's going to have you repel all of the possible business aspects that you have the ability to learn. I have students right now in my musical entrepreneurship class that are so buried deep in the starving artist mindset. They are afraid to make money for their art. They are only worried about their art being accessible. And yes, that is important, but you are the creative. You need to make money. You need to survive. So if you are constantly fearful of being the sellout, if you are constantly worried about being judged for making money from your art, y'all, we gotta figure this out, because you are literally cutting yourself off at the knees. Now, for a moment of clarity, I will tell you that I have been in your shoes if you are there. I remember back when in between my undergraduate and my master's, when I decided I was going to go pursue my master's in opera performance, I had this mentality that if I didn't have 100% of my income coming from my singing, that I must have not been a good singer, that I must have not been legitimate. And I can't tell you how wrong I was and how wrong so many of you are if you are living in that stage of your life. I need you to walk away from this episode realizing that you can create income from whatever you want to, and it does not take away from how good you are as an artist. So what we can do to take a positive spin out of this episode is to have a reframe. We need to start envisioning ourselves as artistic entrepreneurs. The whole reason why this podcast was born is because we all need to start thinking differently so that we can provide a high level of value to the world and also be able to live. I want you to write this down on a sticky note and put it on your bathroom mirror, or put it on the fridge, or put it somewhere that you are going to look at it every single day. And you need to write down, your art is a product and you deserve to be paid for it. And you need to start believing that, especially if you are buried deep into the starving artist mindset, if that's been put upon you, or you have bought into it, or you've been living it for a while. Art isn't less valuable because it comes from your soul. Art is more valuable because it comes from your soul. Think about a surgeon who's operating with their hands. That is expertise. They are paid a high level because they are saving lives, and it is through their hands and through their practice, through their expertise, that they are performing that service. It is the same thing that you are doing on an artistic level. We need to realize that making money isn't selling out, it is fuel. Money gives you options. Money gives you options to take the gigs that you really want to do and to turn down the gigs that you don't want to do. It doesn't feel good when you decide to sign a contract because you know that you have to pay bills this month, but you'd rather eat glass than sing that music. It's also fuel because it allows you to reinvest back into your creative process. Get into voice lessons, get into coaching, get in and work with a stage director, with someone who can help you refine. My friends, that is not selling out. This is longevity of your career. The other thing I want you to take away from this is multiple streams of income is smart. It's not shameful. Whether it's teaching, coaching, selling a product, providing a service. Diversifying your income does not dilute your artistry. It's going to protect you, especially in 2025. Diversification of your income stream is one of the best things you could do for yourself. And maybe you happen to stumble across this podcast and you're not a creative, you're not a musician, you're not an artist, but you're sitting there in a 9-to-5 that you're like, I know I'm just a number, I know I'm valuable. Diversify your income streams. This is for everyone. This is not just for the singers. In 2025, we need to stop glorifying burnout, and we need to normalize abundance for creative. So next steps for you to get out of this starving artist mentality is extremely easy, but it's going to be difficult for a lot of you to start doing it, which is to take messy action. I do want you to know that I have a lot of empathy for you if you are buried deep in the starving artist mindset. Okay? If you've been stuck in this identity, it's not your fault. The narrative was handed down to you and reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. But you get to decide if you're going to keep carrying it on or if you're going to make a shift today. So I want to give you an assignment, and I can promise you that if you start this, it's going to get the ball rolling, and it will have a snowball effect on your artistry and on your possible business aspect of your artistry. I want you to write down 3 different ways that you are going to treat your art like a business this week. Maybe you need to raise your rates. Maybe you need to create a digital offer with your artistry. Or maybe it's just simply changing your mindset. But what can you do to take messy action around this? Because the thing I will tell you is that if you are feeling like you identify with being a starving artist, I want you to ask yourself why. And I want you to ask yourself, is it serving you? Because if you can start to make little baby shifts, I promise those little baby steps are going to have a massive change because it's all based on the compound effect. One thing will lead to another. You will start to see different ways that you can help people. And when we can help people, we have more cash flow coming towards us. I would love to hear from y'all if you resonate with this. Do you identify with being a starving artist? Are you a recovering starving artist mentality person? Where are you on the spectrum? There is no shame. There is no judgment around it. But I would love to hear from some of you on what you think that you could be doing. What can we be doing as a community? If you could take a screenshot of what you're seeing on whatever device you're listening to and post this to your Instagram, your Facebook stories, and tag me at JMS Tenor with your biggest takeaway. I would love to see what you are taking away from this episode and what we can do as a community to make our world 1% better today. If you are someone who is looking to diversify their income stream and you want to have a conversation about what your skill set is, what you could possibly be doing, my DMs are always open and I would love to have a conversation with you. You can find me at JMS Tenor. Be sure you click subscribe for next week's episode and we will see you all for episode 3 next Tuesday.